Hey, welcome to the Uncommon Life podcast, the show where Lewis, Rich, and myself delve into topics that are helping us build towards being in the best shape and health of our lives. It's fair to say that we're quite far into that journey. That said, we're constantly changing our minds on various topics as we learn more about ourselves, and there's also some things that we each find uniquely challenging. Our hope is that you can relate to some of our journeys and challenges, and that you find it inspiring and useful as you build towards being in the best shape and health of your life. Okay, so today we're going to talk about motivation. In a perfect world, we'd always be out for hitting the gym, and we'd always be motivated to eat the right foods. But as we know, life isn't perfect. So it's fair to expect these moments where we just don't feel like being active, or maybe we get tempted to eat ultra-processed foods. In today's episodes, we talk about how we deal with these moments. What do we do when we don't feel like getting a workout in? What do we do when we're feeling tired of eating whole foods, and we feel a temptation to just let loose on a pack of donuts? Or in Lewis's case, a whole Christmas pudding. And by the way, we're certainly not infallible to veering off track and making wrong decisions. So we also cover what we do when we fall off the wagon and how we get ourselves back on track. Okay, enjoy the episode. So yeah, in today's episode, we'll chat motivation. It's probably been a bit of a theme over the last couple of months, where each of us have probably felt like we've come out of our zone a little bit, or we're just struggling with bits of motivation. And, you know, it's probably super common, right? Like sometimes you can really feel up for it, other times you can't. And, you know, at some point you've still got to kind of push forward and try and be as consistent as you can. So I thought it would be good we thought it would be good to have a conversation around just how we think about motivation. You naturally get into kind of what it takes to be disciplined and be consistent, etc. But, you know, just dealing with motivation in general, I guess in a perfect world, we would always be up for training and we would always give it our best effort. It would be great. We would always be up for eating whole foods and we wouldn't eat rubbish and etc. And it would just be easy, but life isn't perfect. Like it super gets in the way. And being able to deal with those kind of challenging times, I think, equals a lot to kind of how consistent you are, right? Because if you get really off track in those moments and take a long time to get back on track over the period of a sort of longer time, your consistency can really be dented. So it's really important to kind of manage those periods in the right way. And yeah, good to have a conversation about how we each deal with those.
Let's do that.
Yeah, all right.
Good to see you guys.
Let's do it. Likewise. See, I have to say, I'll probably put a bit of a dampener on this, or kill it straight away.
You're gonna be superhuman, aren't you? Oh, I've not missed a workout in a year. 365 days in a row.
He does seem more on it than me and you, Rich. Like he does just seem more natural.
It makes me feel lazy.
When it comes to the whole,
makes me feel lazy.
When it comes
it's
to
like Goggins, Lewis.
I wish. When it comes to work, I've been super consistent. I haven't actually missed many workouts at all. When it comes to diet, that's been a bit hit and miss of late. So had my sister over, my nephew, we went out a few times, and it was just trying to get back into the swing of things. Like being really super diligent with my food was a bit trickier. I'm still pretty good most of the time, but in terms of my training, I'm just uber consistent. And I think what I was going to add, so I wrote down a few little notes around this because I thought in the initial brief, I was thinking it's around how we maintain consistency. And for me, what I was thinking about it was what I've done, I've created a habit. I've created a daily habit for myself where it's just part of my day. So for me, I wake up and I know I'm going to work out every day. And I set myself up in that mindset of, it's part of my routine. I do it. It's my daily habit. I enjoy doing it. And part of the reason why I'm so consistent is because I love it. I genuinely just really enjoy doing it. So for me, it's not hard to get up and do it. I look forward to it. And I may have said it before on a couple of podcasts. It's my favorite part of the day. I wake up at 5, I get my headphones on, I go outside to my little home gym. I work out for an hour and 15 minutes before anyone wakes up. And it's just time to myself, which for the rest of the day, from 6:10, when my boys normally wake up and come running downstairs and then start talking to me whilst I'm on the bed, trying to do the VO2 max workout. It's okay, now the day has started with them. So I think the one thing that I would say around that consistency is creating a daily habit where it's not I'm going to try and work out 3 days a week on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because then if something happens on the Wednesday and you miss the Wednesday and you've worked out on the Monday and Friday, all of a sudden you've worked out twice in that week. And then it's just really hard to build that consistency. So for me, in my mind, I work out every day. It's a daily habit. And I pretty much take off every Thursday. And I was just having a look at my little journal, my tracker. And I've worked out 6 days a week for the past 17 weeks. And I've had 1 week where I where I did 5 days, and 1 week where I did 4 days. It's just part of my daily routine.
That's incredible.
And
that's really
so.
Really impressive.
So I don't know if that may be annoying for you guys to hear, because like you've been like not been able to like maintain. But for me, it's just it's a daily habit, and it's something that I enjoy and I look forward to when I get up. And I'm like, if anything, I probably do too much. And sometimes the other day I woke up at 4:30 and I was like, I feel so tired. But I struggled through and I worked out. And then during the day, I was like, I'm just knackered. I probably shouldn't have worked out today. I should have had an extra hour in bed. But that my mindset is just, I just want to do it. So that's kind of where I'm at with the training side of things.
I mean, that's kind of, I think what's super, I don't know about you, Danny, but for me, like the key there is you've built this habit of being up nice and early and getting it done before the day starts. I think for me, when I'm in the zone, I'm a bit like that, as in I have a routine and it goes consistently. But when I fall out of that zone, then very rapidly, actually, I really have to I can quite quickly go off track. So like last week was a write-off for me. As you know, I attempted to copy you to do a Murph. Actually, no, I did the Murph, but unlike you, the next day I was not working out. It took me a while. And what it meant is the end that because that knocked me out of my routine for a few days. By day 4 or 5, getting back into it was just a slog, and I ended up making excuses. And then what happens? Work got pretty busy, so I ended up working late, which meant I was tired and getting up later than I would normally. And for me, like that I haven't got that level of discipline you've got in that morning of getting up and getting going. I also never work out first thing, and that might make a difference. Like I always get my morning walk done, but I never work out like weight train ever in the morning, and that's just I like my body to be warm. And so I don't know whether I like to work out kind of either late morning or kind of mid-afternoon. I schedule work around it, but I don't know. For me, definitely, I went on holiday in August, and it was an active holiday. Like I did manage to get I think away for 10 days and did 6 workouts in the gym. So
which is great. That's really good.
I think for a holiday, I think that's unusual for the average person. But I got up, ate really well. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But since being back from holiday this last fortnight, I've only managed to get maybe 3 or 4 workouts done. And while I'm still active and eating okay, definitely feel like I'm kind of fallen off of my normal discipline. And now this week I'm back on it, but it took me to kind of literally say to Daniel over the week, I was like, you need to kick my ass on Monday. Like, ring me Monday morning or whatever it takes Monday morning to get me back into. I'm being held accountable, so I can't slip. I need to get back on it. And the reason I do that, because I know if I don't get back on it this week, I'm going to fall off it for a while, and it's going to be a bit of a pain. I don't know if you guys are the same, but like for me, it's almost like falling out of the routine.
Yeah.
Makes it harder to kind of be consistent. When I'm in the routine, when I'm exercising well, I'm eating well, and vice versa. So it's
100%. Yeah. So I think what would be really good to delve into a little bit there, though. So I think you use Daniel as your accountability partner and mate. This is, and I think so. That's one of the actions that you kind of took to get yourself back into it. Was there anything else you did that got you back into it, or Daniel, you've recently kind of struggled a bit? Is there anything you've done where that kind of got you back in? What was it you did? What was the action you took to kind of get you back in? Because it's that starting that is really hard, isn't it? That's the bit where it's really tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I share the way that Rich is with things. I think, Lewis, you might just, I think some people in this world just have a more natural amount of willpower, or maybe they just build it up over such a long period of time. Like I always look at some people and just think, man, you seem naturally gifted at the willpower. Like it's like the consistency comes easier. That's not to kind of like soften your efforts, because it's super hard to do that. But I'm like Rich, like it's easy to get out of a pattern, and then I find it quite hard to get into it. So August was quite a soft month for me. There was 3 trips in it. It was school holidays. So my habits took a hit. the last 2 weeks of working out, I only hit 2 workouts, like 2 weights workouts. There was still other stuff going on around it. So I was still kind of training like 4 or 5 times a week instead of my 3 weights and 6 times a week in general. So it was definitely off. And I felt like Rich. I was like, I've got to get my act together this week, because if I leave it another 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, I'll probably actually see some lack of results in my physique going backwards. And it will just be too long. But like Rich said, I think the one thing that I tried to do was try and just kind of like just forget about the macro stuff a little bit, because you can get too in your head about it all. And it probably links to what you just said, Lewis, really. It's like, what can I do today? Like, what can I do today to make it a great day? And how can I set myself up with a sort of an accountability stream with Rich to make sure that I actually deliver on that day? And I was like, I'm going to bring it to Rich at the end of the day. I'm going to send a WhatsApp where I've trained, I've done 10K steps, and my nutrition has been absolutely on point, and I've done some stretching. And I was like, I just need to focus on today and let go of everything else. And then you can build another day, then you can build another day. And like, that seems to be working for me this week. I've got out of my head, because I was getting a bit frustrated with August, going, man, maybe I'm not as disciplined as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not, on top of things like I thought I was. So I just tried to kind of zoom back from that and be like, man, just focus on today, and then just focus on the next day. And I think that's probably that combined with the accountability piece is probably a good way of just building back into it. But I'm having to force when I start my workouts, it did not feel like June or July. I'm starting them going, I have to move through, I have to go through the motions on this one. Like, I don't feel as amped like I used to. It's harder for sure.
And you have to, I know this is going to sound probably ridiculous in comparison, but if I've had like a couple of days off, just starting again on that third day feels strange. It does feel weird. Like you kind of think, okay, what am I doing first? I'm doing my shoulder rolls, I'm doing my head like that. And then it's just kind of like thinking it through, because it's not just part and parcel of your day.
You absolutely feel out of the pattern, don't you?
That's the pattern piece.
Amazing, actually. It's almost like your body kind of is. Humans are naturally lazy, right? And I think what happens is if you give the opportunity after 2, 3, 4 days, it's like, well, I'll just ease off a little bit. Little bit. For me, last week it was diet more than anything else. I recognised by kind of the Friday I was just feeling a bit lethargic, and I was like, well, it's because I think I was in the city working all day, and I realised by the end of the day I'd had 4, maybe 5 like cappuccinos, and I think I sent Danny going, oh, F this, because it was like 3 PM. I'm in a coffee shop doing some emails after a meeting with a cappuccino, and I bought myself an Anzac cookie, which is like deadly, delicious. And I'm like, oh, what's happening here? Like, I've literally gone from being like extremely like on it, and within a matter of days, like just because of like pulling my neck, being a bit injured for a few days, like 4 or 5 days later, I'm like smashing 1,000 calories of milky coffees and eating cookies in like on a Friday afternoon. Just I'm like, what's happened here? And it's amazing how fast. I mean, this could just be my first time. It's amazing how fast I've just like gone the other way, and that's going to cause this like massive reaction. This is not. I will not tolerate this. This is. I worked too hard over the last 2, 3 years to get to a nice point. I'm not tolerating this silly behaviour, and that's so different to the mentality which is I'm going out with friends on Friday night. Let's enjoy it, because this was just happening. It wasn't like a conscious decision. So I felt that mentally, for me, that was a mental like, this is not okay. I need to step back up, which I think maybe the mental fortitude is part of it. Because what happens, or has it happened, when you actually don't get to the gym like in the morning for, let's say, 5 days? Like what happens to you?
I couldn't actually tell you the last time. Man, I couldn't actually tell you the last time that happened.
What do you think would happen if you missed?
I get really grumpy. So my wife knows if I don't work out, I'm not getting those like I'm not getting those hormonal hits like the positive, and I get really grumpy even after just 2 days. So if I have a couple of days off and it's like day 3 and I haven't had a chance to work out, I get grumpy. And I just don't feel like I'm not as energetic. I'm not as upbeat. I just like feel I haven't worked out my inner demons and just kind of thrashed myself in a way to kind of make me feel better. So it doesn't really, even when I broke my arm back in October, So I broke my arm. I was
Still doing
so annoyed.
one arm pull-ups with a broken arm
I was
every
doing one
morning
arm like
burpees.
rows. I was doing single kettlebell work. I was like,
with
what
the
can I
broken
do?
arm.
Yeah, with the broken arm. So I was like, oh, what can I do? And I just had to do something because I just know I feel so much better when I do.
The one thing that they always say about motivation, and it's a bit like if you Google motivation and discipline, you're going to get this. So it's a bit of a,
Mm.
I forget the word for it, right? But it's just like overspoken about. But motivation is wavering. Like if you
Yeah,
rely on
yeah.
motivation, you're screwed, right? You have to focus on discipline to start with, and then that builds consistency, and then from there you get the motivation, which is why I think you do great, Lewis, because I think you're naturally more disciplined, like at a baseline than me or Rich. So you've just established that discipline, that habit so well that the consistency falls into place and the motivation falls into place. I think like where I'm at with it is I've let my discipline and consistency go. And again, it's not like I've just gone, fuck it. I'm not going to be as disciplined. I've had a month, which was like, there was a lot of things going on. There's some
Yeah,
work stuff, some
yeah.
personal stuff, some trips, and it's just knocked me out of my mode a little bit. And I've absolutely lost some of my discipline. And
Mm.
therefore I've lost some of my consistency, and therefore I'm feeling a lack of motivation. But actually it makes me realize now the right way of correcting it is not to try and get more motivated about it. It's to go back to the cornerstone of it, which is be more disciplined and be
Mm.
more disciplined today, right?
Yeah.
Just do the things you know you need to do today and then just build back into it. And because we're fairly disciplined people anyway, you can get back to it quite quickly. But it is just a case of just getting back to that kind of discipline, getting back to some of the habit stuff that is easy to do now we're out of school holidays and we can just get back in the zone with it.
And I think something that you two have done really well there, though, is because you have had, like, I think for you, Rich, you got injured, mate. You were like, you were on holiday, you
Never.
got back,
I mean,
you
no,
injured yourself.
I made of steel. I never get injured.
It's like, Sophie, like, and then I think, Daniel, you said you've had loads of stuff going on as well. But I think what you guys have done really well there, though, is you've used each other. And you've held each other accountable. You've spoken about it and said, all right, guys, how are we going to get back on it? And I think that's something that's really, really important for people to think about, to have a training partner or someone that they can do it with.
It's so important.
It makes such a difference. Yeah, it's just
all like of Monday. I was thinking, I can't wait to send Rich this update because he's going to feel so bad, right? Because I know he's going to come in pretty strong, but I know I have him beat. And I know when I do that, I'm going to ignite a monster in Rich, right? Which is going to make me feel bad because he's going to bring it more than me, probably. But like it becomes like a bit of a game. And I'm not a particularly competitive person, but I know that it serves a purpose in me. Like
I mean, you sound pretty competitive, right?
I've had two perfect days because I'm looking just. But it's actually less about being competitive, and it's more about just wanting to put the absolute best foot forward at the end of the day and be like, yep, I feel absolutely amazing about this. And you probably, my two perfect days so far are probably making you feel like shit, like I need to do the same. It's definitely helped me.
Does make a big difference.
I think having that kind of nature, like competitive or whatever, like I think actually is really, really important. Like for me, which we spoke about kind of a couple of weeks ago, and the kind of the Murph thing, those you've kind of been trained towards, and you were doing whatever else. I love that stuff because it I think it's really cool. It's inspirational. It's not something I do. I was like, oh, I'm going to go do it. Now, yes, I may have injured myself by doing it. However, in the moment, I loved it. I thought it was great, and that I think is where fitness is awesome because I do think actually as humans we need it. I think people that exercise on a regular basis and are healthy in their lifestyles are just happier. And I think that's pretty much proven anyway. But you mentioned your energy levels. So I'm the same. Like if I'm exercising and eating well, my energy is like double. Like I don't need the same level of like sleep, or I'm just not tired. I don't feel the same way, and you can very quickly see that change. Like last week, like I said, I tried to get to the gym on Tuesday. My neck was too sore. I couldn't pull it off. So I think I went the entire week. All I did was walk, and not enough either. By that Friday, I'm really tired. I'd had a tough week at work, and it got really tired. That's not normal for me. And anyone who knows me knows I would be a very high energy individual like that. You wouldn't generally see me struggling with energy. And I directly correlate that to the exercise side. So I think what you mentioned there is super important around how you go off track very quickly with your exercise, and now you've disciplined it over such a long period of time. It's an everyday thing for you, and that nature of being competitive slash building it into your lifestyle. I think that's like, if people haven't done that yet, I think they're gonna. You have to. You're just a happier person. Like I just think.
Well, that's why I went off track in August, because I lost the structure. Because you're going to school holidays, and all of a sudden it's like there was a 3-day trip and a 2-day trip and another 3-day trip, and it was camping, and it was like school holidays. It's like my whole routine just went completely out the window. And I think, that's what caused me to kind of like slip in August. It's like I lost that routine.
So don't go camping. I mean, that's all I'm taking from that. Just don't camp.
You know what? You said your camping thing. This is where I'm a loon. So we went on holiday recently. So we went down to like a beach house, and it was a 4-hour. I think it's like a 4-hour drive. Who was it? So my mom. It was when my mom was over. So it was been about like 7-8 months ago, and I took my kettlebell with me, so I could work out. And I was out the front in the garden. First thing in the morning, I was like, I'm just going to do it anyway. So I took my kettlebell. My wife's there, like, laugh. She's like, of course you're bringing your kettlebell. I'm like there stuffing it in the boot of the car. And I'm like, I'm going to take my kettlebell. I'm going to make sure I can do something. Just note to self, don't take a kettlebell with you next time you go camping.
I think
it's a great exercise.
Because the trip you did down, I think, is a little bit unusual in terms of trip, because you went with a group of people. You went to like an event. It's more like a festival type thing, or whatever. Right? It wasn't quite the same. Because like the last time, like I went, I did like a camping-y thing, although I wouldn't go in a tent, so it's a lodge thing. But anyway, again, I took the weighted vest. The same thing, and the wife's like, "What? Why?" Of course, okay. Get up going, and again, get that done in the morning. So I'm with you entirely. I think it's the right thing. But I think yours, Daniel, were more events more than you and the family going away somewhere camping.
Yeah, but that leads me to something else I was thinking about as well, is that actually sometimes it's a story you tell yourself. Like I was thinking, if you think about it over this is not really like a tactic about how to be more disciplined, but actually you can get in your own head about it, and you can tell yourself a story that you're actually like a pretty undisciplined person and things are falling apart, and that's just not helpful, right? But actually, if you think about it, think about like 12 months. August and December are usually soft months for me, and they probably always will be. You've got school holidays going on, you've got a lot of Christmas stuff going on, a lot of structure goes out the window. But if you have a year where you have 2 soft months and then the rest of 10, let's say 4 great and 6 are good, that's amazing. Like that's super amazing. And like even you said there with the camping, I took my trainers and I did like a 40-minute run while I was there. That's the only thing I did in the 3 days, but that's more than everybody else did there. Like,
still did something. Yeah.
And like even when I'm beating myself up last week, I still did an hour of zone 2, 2 weights workouts, 1 stretching, and I ate an average of 2,500 calories, which is too much. It needs to be 2,200. But again, in the grand scheme of things, that's not too bad. So I think like we can tell ourselves a story. Like our expectations.
Why are we doing this episode?
No, but our expectations can kind of like run away with us, and it's like, hold on a minute. Like, so sometimes it's okay to like appreciate that life is just life, and if you can work your way through those moments with your head above water, knowing that you're going to come through the other side and then pick it back up to a 10 out of 10, like it's easier to deal with, at least from my perspective. A lot of it is in my head. It's like I'm not actually as bad as I'm telling myself.
It sounds like you had a pretty decent week last week. In all honesty, I would say,
I went off the rails. I only got 4 workouts done.
That sounded like a decent week in itself. I think I wrote down a couple of things that I thought I'd share just around like maintaining consistency, because I was just going to share a couple of things that helped me stay on point. So I think the first one is that creating the daily habit. So I think making it a daily routine of this is just something I'm going to do every day. But then the second part, which I think is super important, which we kind of just touched on a little bit, is around doing it first thing in the morning. Like, it has just been such a game changer for me. I know, Rich, you can't, and I think that's because you need to be like more warmed up. I think you've got with your back, which you've shared before. You can't probably do the heavy weight straight away. So I think for you, it probably is out of the picture. For most people, I would say, who can do it, like training first thing in the morning makes such a difference on so many different. Like, I cannot just like talk about it more. Like, just the importance of doing it first thing in the morning for me anyway, because it just leads to so many other things. So if I want to work out in the morning, I go to bed earlier the night before. So I'm always in bed between 9 and 10. So that's like the habit and the routine that I've done. I don't know anyone that does anything very productive after 9 o'clock at night other than watch TV. Unless you're sitting there working until really, like you're watching TV or messing about on like social media, whatever, for like 2-3 hours. I'm in bed at that time. So, and then once you've done your workout, we've kind of alluded it already. Like the days started off so well. The rest that you've had a massive win first thing already. It's like, I've had a big win, and then like the diet's better, you feel better, and then everything else just kind of seems to, that has that domino effect. So doing it in the morning where people can, it just makes such a difference on so many different levels. So, and it doesn't have to be an hour, hour and a half. It's like half an hour. Just wake up half an hour earlier, do a little something, do like 50 push-ups, 50 squats, whatever it is that you can do that you're going to, it's like, do that. And then the other, so what was the other point that I was going to say that I thought was good? So something that is like tracking progress as well really makes a difference. So like writing things down and tracking it and having something to keep an eye on how you're progressing and how you're doing really does kind of like keep that motivation going. So I can tell you that I've been really heavy on my weighted vest training since March. So after I broke my arm and then I could get my weighted vest on again, I was doing between 30 and 50 pull-ups with a 7 kg weighted vest. I can now pretty consistently do 70 or 80 pull-ups with a 12 kg vest. And even just seeing that progress, how I've tracked it, keeps me motivated to want to do it, because I'm like, this is great. Even though it's slow and steady, it's like I'm seeing the progress. So I just wanted to share a few of those things that really helped me. It's that daily discipline. It's doing it first thing so that nothing gets in the way. And then just kind of tracking some of the stuff that you're doing and keeping note and like just testing yourself. Like, what's my max pull-ups? What's my max push-ups? And then in like a month's time or 6 weeks time, checking again. How many pull-ups can I do now? And if you need 2 or 3 more, it will keep you engaged and motivated to do it. So that's kind of where my head's at with all that stuff.
I think they're really good. I mean, I think there's always a bit of embracing the uniqueness of your own situation and working around it, right? So, for example, like you mentioned there, I can't train in the mornings, and that's yeah, you're right. That is because of I need to be warmed up. My joints can't tolerate working out until they're warm, and you can't. It doesn't matter how good your warm up is. It takes me really the day. Like until late morning, I'm just not ready to lift weights. So I change my routine around it. But I think that the interesting there is I think lots of people have unique situations, which means for them morning wouldn't work, whether they're doing shift work or whether their job is very spiky or they've got childcare in the mornings and you know, I know you've got 3 very young children, so you're just a machine, but obviously lots of certain people like, you know, that doesn't work for them. Or I think the key thing there is you've found a routine for you which you can be consistent at. And actually, I have the same, which I've gone off of, and also because of school holidays. But normally, I have a routine, same thing, where I can be very consistent. So I also get up pretty early, but I don't work out in the morning. I get prepared for the day. So I do my day planning. I do my morning emails. I kind of catch up on everything I need to do. I will schedule my day to ensure I have my window to exercise in the day. And obviously, I just don't work very hard. That must be the key there. And so and then I can stick to that consistently, and I try and plan my week as well, like in advance. And so I'll be able to kind of slot things in. The side effect of that for me is I really struggled then with last minute changes. And actually, weirdly, I sent a message. I sent it to our group. I think I maybe sent it to Daniel. It was like, am I getting old? Because now when the plan changes, I get really annoyed. Because what's happened is for the last while,
Same.
a good year or two, I'm like, right, that's not what my week looks like. I know what I've got work-wise. I know that's going to be a hard day, so I'll move things around. I've got like a couple of board meetings. They're going to probably overrun. That means on that day, I'm going to do zone 2 in the morning, and I'm going to do a weight session the following day. I'm going to do that in the afternoon, but I'm going to work late. So I structure it around. And then when someone turns around and goes, oh, we need to change this thing, pisses me off because
it's annoying.
Ruins my day.
Yeah.
But that's because I've prioritised my fitness above the other stuff. And I think that's the key, right? If you're speaking to somebody saying, okay, well, this journey, I think until it clicks. And you mentioned there like TV and stuff in the evening. Same as you, I don't watch any TV. Because it gets in the way of my priority. And my priority is not to watch TV. My priority is to actually get this other stuff done. And that requires me to get enough sleep and be in bed. And therefore, TV is not a high priority. But I think everything you say about, I agree with everything you say entirely.
Yeah, and I so what? Yeah,
uniqueness.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. So the morning wouldn't be. I think it's the planning. So plan it in your day so you can do it. I think that's the point, right? When are you going to be able to do it most consistently? Because for me, if I don't do it in the morning, I won't get it done. Like there's no way I'm going to get it during the day. I just won't find a break during work.
Yeah,
And then
I
in
think
the
that's a super
evening,
valid point.
it's like during in the evening, it's during the day, it's just I'm working. Like I won't be able to take out the time, and then I'll be stressed out thinking, oh, I need to be working, or if I'm working from home and I want to do work, it just messes with my head. I can't do it. And then in the evening, it's like we pick up the kids, we have dinner, we do bath time, we do bedtime. Like by the time that whole song and dance finishes, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to do a workout at 8 o'clock at night. I'm going to sit down with my wife for an hour, and then I'm going to bed. And it's like if I don't do it in the morning, I won't get it. So yeah, to your point, Rich, it's find a time and schedule it in when you're going to be able to do it consistently. I think, that's the point. Yeah.
Although I will say that I think as a generalization, you're right, Lewis. But I think Rich is right too, right? You can't.
So we're all right.
Not going to work. There's no, but
you're being nice.
Training early is not going to. Training early isn't going to work for everybody. But actually, so for example, I rarely train early anymore. Yes, I feel amazing when it's in the bank early. It creates a different mood. Even as you were saying it, I was like, I should probably try and do that a little bit more. That said, I've just got into a rhythm of life where lunchtime training fits my schedule. And it fits being able to kind of like, particularly with my focus around weights and gaining strength, it fits being able to have a nice like higher carb breakfast, workout, post lunch, like post workout is kind of lunch. It just fits where I'm at in life. But that said, we all have a reasonable amount baseline of discipline. Even if we slip and we feel bad about it, we still have a reasonable baseline. So if we plan it in for the afternoon, it's probably going to get done. But I actually think for most people that don't have a baseline of discipline, or even like new to the habit of fitness, the later you leave it in the day, the chance of it getting done is a lot less. And as soon as you get into late afternoon or early evening, the chances are you're going to feel too tired or other things are going to happen. So I think for most people, getting it in the bank early is a better strategy. If you can do it, it, do it in the morning. I think you're much more likely to be more consistent that way.
But again, I do think to pull that off, it does start with making the decision that, right, I'm going to go to bed earlier. I'm not going to sit there and watch Netflix till midnight, because I can't see it being possible. I mean, I couldn't do it. If I was up till midnight, doom scrolling on Instagram or watching Netflix series, whatever else, I'm not getting up at 5:30 and getting a good workout done. It's just, it doesn't matter. It's just not happening. So the decision you're making there is you're saying, well, look, you know that if you do not have your shit under control, so you can get to bed between 9 to 10, get a good decent sleep, and then you can get up and go. Won't get done. You're discipline forced it, so you're fine. But you could just imagine, you could tolerate one night, maybe 2 nights of going to midnight due to work or due to whatever. When that starts becoming a habit, 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, the workout's not getting done well. And so yeah, I totally agree. If someone had to get brand new to the health and fitness habit, I would absolutely be pushing for the morning.
And get a buddy.
Just short workouts. So yeah,
commitment buddy, someone that you're going to meet with, where you've got that time locked in, where you're holding each other accountable, and you'll feel bad if you don't turn up. I think that's how I initially started. I was going first thing in the morning, maybe meeting my brother at the gym at like 6. I remember meeting my cousin as well, and Barry. Like we'd go and be like, all right, let's go. I'll meet you guys at the gym at like 6:30, and you'd feel really bad if you didn't meet them there at that time. Because in the evenings, you want to go out, you want to have a couple of drinks, you want to go out for dinner, whatever it is you're doing, right? The evenings just never worked for me, ever. Like one of my mates used to train at 10 o'clock at night, though. I was like, and he used to go home and have like a feast at like midnight. And I was like,
I struggle.
How do you do that? Yeah. But
some people can, though, obviously. I mean, I used to go to the gym after work for years. It was like you did it on the way home from the office. But that's when you have nothing else going on in the evening. Like, imagine trying to do that with the kids nowadays. Like, that's never going to happen. If you've got a family, your evenings are a disaster.
It's a workout doing the bedtime routine. It's a workout.
Getting out of the house. Actually, I've just thought when you mention it, you also do yours about cycles. You've got the amazing weather where you are. But I imagine if you started this and you started saying, I'm going to do a workout from home first thing in the morning, I reckon that's probably tougher to be motivated by than getting outside of the house.
Yeah. Maybe instead of getting out and going somewhere or meeting somewhere. Yeah.
Just like getting being forced to get up and get on.
Getting in the car, making that journey somewhere.
I think when I used to do CrossFit as well, I think that that forced me to go more often than I would usually as well, because you have to book in for a class. It's pretty busy as well. So if you then don't turn up, you feel like an idiot because you've taken someone's space that technically could have gone on a wait list, etc., etc. And it's like, you got to turn up for the class. You know the class is there. It forces a set of behaviours beforehand. Just it makes you more likely to go. So yeah, there is something about that.
Do you guys? And this might just be me, but do you guys ever come up to the weekend? I would often kind of put a challenge for myself and go, I'm going to do this thing on Sunday morning, and use that as a bit of a motivation to make sure I get something done. So instead of just saying I'm going to work out on Sunday morning, I'm going to work out Sunday morning, but I'm going to go and do something, and I'll make it almost more significant, so excites me a bit more about it. So for example, I might say, well, look, hey, say this Sunday's coming up. I'll be like, well, I've got nothing currently planned until 9ish, right? Well, make sure I get up and get going at 6 on Sunday morning, which for me is, if I had my way, I wouldn't, but I do. I will come up with something that's exciting. It won't be a normal thing. It'll be okay, well, actually, I'm going to do a bike pro ski or a mini triathlon thing, or I might do a hill run, or I just do something that's a bit more out there just to make it exciting. So when I go to bed on Saturday night, even if it's been out with friends and drinks, it doesn't really matter because I'm kind of ready to get up and get going. I'll make it a thing. I don't know if that's just a me thing, or whether you guys do anything like
that. I haven't done a huge amount of that, but I could see how that could work, to be honest. Because now I'm doing a bit more of the Murph, actually wanting to do that. I'm kind of planning it in my mind of doing it on a Sunday, because it's that'll be my day that I do it, and it's all right, and that'll be the day that I'm up for it. And then for the few days before I do it, I'm kind of looking forward to it and thinking, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into it. And then you kind of get into a bit of a zone in your mind. Yeah. So, and it is a bit exciting. If you can call that exciting, it's I'm looking forward to doing it. But yeah, I can see how that would definitely work. So I used to play a lot of soccer, football, 11-a-side. And I used to really look forward to that on a Sunday, because it's going to be a really big game, and it was every Sunday, and it's you're going to run around, it's going to be competitive, and it's going to be, so that was different to working out, but it's something to look forward to, of physical exertion that's fairly big. Yeah.
Well, it's got that commitment component in there as well, right? If all of your workouts are basically just, like Rich said, home workouts where you've just got something to do that you need to do, versus you're booked into a CrossFit class, or you're meeting some people to do 11-a-side or whatever it is. There's a little bit of structural commitment there that makes you much more likely to kind of go ahead with it as well as the excitement bit, I guess. I'll share a little bit of a hack as well that I was thinking about recently. I was watching Josh Bridges. He's your Murph.
I haven't seen any of that stuff. I need to have a look at it. Yeah.
He's got a cool channel. But the one thing I heard him say, which kind of made me think about some stuff, was he was talking a little bit about getting in your head, and CrossFit is obviously tough. So you can get in your head about how tough the workout's going to be. And it's sort of a little bit connected to what we're saying, where he was like, look, just get warming up first. And then from there, things flow. And it's kind of another way of saying almost brute forcing yourself to start. And I've been thinking about that a little bit. If I don't feel like getting into the gym, I just try and kind of snap there and then and be no, within 1 minute, I'm going to be in the gym starting my warm up, whatever it takes, because the amount of times I've warmed up and then not had a workout is 0.001%, right? But the amount of times I've thought about the whole thing and not done it is 10% or something like that. And there are other things as well. For example, I'll sometimes do the first part of the weights workout, and then I'll have a bit of a finisher kind of triple kind of superset thing to do. And I'll be that's going to be a pain. It's going to be pretty hard. I know I don't want to do it, but then I literally on the phone hit the timer within 10 seconds, even though I'm not really that prepared, thinking about it. I've written it down and stuff. I'm no, whatever happens, I've now pressed that button. In 10 seconds, I'm starting, no matter what, I'm doing it. So there's just these little hacks where you often have this really, really tiny window where you can either take action or you can just kick the can down the road. And I think if you can just get in the habit of just taking action, even if it makes you feel unprepared, or you just have to push through that little bit of discomfort, and then from there it's way easier than you think it's going to be. So I'm trying to think about that more.
Do you use music in that? That's a joke. That's for me very similar, which is I have a couple of playlists. I start a playlist. There's particular songs which are just aggressive as soon as that music, like it's like a second gear. As soon as that music starts, it's like go time. It's like it's a similar thing. I don't know whether that's the same.
I
for you guys.
100% have that. What are you,
Yeah.
where are your playlists? Are they on Spotify?
Yeah, Spotify. Yeah, and I've got
Share
like
them.
4 or
Share
5
them.
different ones.
Yeah, share
You
them.
know, and
I'll
like,
listen to
depending on
your
what I'm doing.
playlists. Let's
Yeah, I
share
mean,
our gym playlists. I've
No,
got
I,
the
I,
work.
I know
I
you
have
can
a
judge
gym
me.
playlist
That's
as
like
well.
Let's
guilty
share them.
secrets in there.
Share it. I'd love that on Spotify. Hear what
Yeah,
you
they're
guys
definitely-
what we're listening to. But yeah, I
definitely have
100%
to
agree with
turn
that.
off the
But to your
explicit
point,
filter.
so Daniel, like what you're saying is so true. And I think there's a lot to, like, I forget where I heard it, but it was like to change how you're physically feeling, you need to change what you're physically doing. It's like what people, so if you're sat down, you're feeling lethargic and like, you're not really up to, like the best way to change that is by getting up and actually just doing something physical. And then within like a minute or two, it just changes your whole mindset and physicality. So it's that point of, for you, it's like just start warming up. Once you start warming up and moving, you all of a sudden or everything in your body changes. It's just that whole mental, physical,
And it can just be a small,
whatever it is.
It can just be a
Yeah.
small thing, right? Like that's why I know you guys take the mick out of my outrageously long warm up, right? But the first thing I do,
Dude. I mean, you've got to appreciate that. Like,
yeah, I do.
There's
But you
getting
know
ready for a workout, and then there's like,
yeah, it's like a workout in itself. But the first part of it is a 20-minute walk, right? But that's easy. Like I actually always look forward to that bit, and then by the time I finish that bit, the segue into the warm up is much easier. So again, it's just another way of like, rather than overthinking it, it's just like put the trainers on and go walk outside, and then before you know it, I'm kind of warm, and then I'm feeling different about warming up. Like I feel different about walking to the gym because I've started it. And it's like you incrementally just get into it, but you just got to find like the first thing you can do that's not like jumping into it a million miles an hour, and just get bloody doing it.
Yeah,
because
it's
it will
probably
flow from there.
the reason you can't work out in the morning, right? Is because of your warm ups. I mean, how
Maybe.
early would you have to get up to actually
You'd have
get
to be
that
up at
done
3.
and the workout done? Yeah.
3 till 6 would be the warm up, and then 6 till 6:20 would be the workout.
So what you've just said there, it's like that patterning piece though, isn't it? Of doing it where it's that habit of you do your walk, and that then gets your mind in the right space to then move into your warm up, to then move into your workout. So for me, what works is it's I lay my gym clothes out before I go to bed. So I put my gym clothes out next to my bed and I'm like, okay, there's my trackies, there's my t-shirt, there's my socks, and then next to my bed. So when my alarm goes off, they're there and they're ready. And that's kind of I do that, and then I come down. It's just that routine and that patterning, just to get you into that habit.
Just
and
taking the
consistency
friction
of doing
out of it a little bit
Yeah.
as well, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
like, make your life easy basically.
Well,
Just
and
get
it's
into
also
it.
guilt tripping you, right? Because if you get up and then you don't do that, it's like a double whammy, right? Imagine you got up and you just walked over your gym clothes, put normal clothes on. You'd feel terrible.
Yeah.
You'd feel like a right failure.
Yeah. Like looking at them really sad. I'm like, oh, didn't do it today. What was it? Conor McGregor. He's got some really good. There's like some really good shorts. I'm not sure if you guys have seen those of his, where he was talking about his fights, and he was like, when you tell yourself you're going to do something, do it. And he's like, I said I was going to eat the bad food. I ate the bad food. I wasn't going to go out and stay out late. I stayed out late. I wasn't going to do this. I did. And he's like, and it messed with my mind, because all those little things where I said to myself I was going to do something and I didn't do it, it just completely messed with my mindset, and I wasn't in that right frame. Whereas if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it, it sets you up. So I lay my clothes out, I go to bed, I'm like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do it. I wake up, I do it. And it's that whole, building those wins every day, little wins.
Yeah, I do something very similar, by the way. I do like when I go to bed, I make sure my gym gear is the clothes I'm putting on first thing. And you know what, COVID kind of helps now, because I generally don't have to go to too many meetings in person, so I can wear my gym clothes from home, do calls or whatever else, and then get to the gym later on. Actually, that's made a massive difference for me. Obviously, if I'm going into the city into meetings, I can't do that. But, the other thing for me, which I don't know if you guys have this, but I have a dog, and so there is an advantage. My training partner in the morning is that the dog needs to be walked, and then the dog is going to let you know. Like there is no world where that dog is not telling you, "Come on, it's 5:30. The deal is we go walking. So where the hell are you?" Which I thought,
get a dog.
Pretty useful. And then you feel, if you don't walk that dog, you feel so guilty. The dog will just look at you like as though you're a failure. Like, oh, fuck.
You don't love me.
I don't know why, but something just brought me back to what you said, Rich, about the plan as well, which makes me realize like it is really, really important to think through and to know how the day is going to pan out. Because if you leave it to chance, it's just like it's going to be a bit of a car crash. Like the last 2 days, me and Rich have exchanged a message where we're like, hey, here's what's going to happen today. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, even today, I know, like, there was a dog walk in the morning. I know there's going to be tennis, and it's like within a specific time frame. Like I'm meeting someone, I'm going to do an hour's worth of tennis, and then I know when I'm going to do my stretching. It's like I know how the pieces are going to fit together, and it's not like that always happens in a perfect way. Like I don't get quite as bent out of shape as Rich does. If like, it doesn't happen exactly how it needs to happen, you're going to need to rearrange it sometimes. But yeah, like you can't just leave things to chance. Like you have to have a plan of attack. If you don't have a plan of attack, I think the likelihood is like a coin flip whether anything's going to happen at all. Like Lewis, you made it super easy for yourself. You work out every single morning at this time, so like you've almost made it the most easiest it could be. But if your life is more complicated, where each day is different, you can't work out in the morning because of this or that, you can at least say, well, look, on a Tuesday, I go to London. So it's all about steps on a Tuesday, and I'm going to decide to walk between the stations so that I get more steps in. And then when I get back, it's just some stretching. And I'm going to do that stretching at 9. And then the next day, you have to have a plan of attack. Like if you just leave it to chance, then it really is very likely that you're just going to skip things and not know when to do things. Or you just leave it till too late in the day and you're like, I can't fix it even if I wanted to because I just don't have the time to do it. I'll just start again tomorrow.
That daily plan is so powerful. That before you go to bed for 10 minutes, plan your day out the next day. What am I going to do? What time am I waking up? When's my workout? What work am I just that? Yeah, that's such a good point, Daniel. Like spend 10 minutes the night before, plan your day and try and get it done.
So not to be contrarian, actually, I don't plan daily because I actually find that fails more often for me. I like to plan weekly. So I have flexibility to move things around. So therefore, and the reason I'd say that is it was quite common if I planned the day out that something would go wrong. And then I wouldn't be able to do the thing I thought I was going to do during that day. Let's say it was a workout, particular type of workout done. And then due to work reasons, I didn't get a workout done. I'd feel terrible. And now I plan the week and I know that if that doesn't happen and I can move it to the next day, I can rearrange and then compensate and catch up. So I end up actually kind of planning my week out and then I commit to it. And it's a really big motivation tool for me. Like I find it very useful to say this week, here's what it's going to look like. There's going to be 3 weight training sessions. I'm going to do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I know that if Monday slips to Tuesday, I can slip it all back, or I can rearrange, or I can catch up on Sunday. I can manage it. I'm going to generally eat like this. So my average for the week needs to be around this range. So if I've got, like say, some dinner with friends on a Friday night, and that's going to kind of massively spike it, it's fine. I'll make sure I compensate for that on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever. So for me, that's like it's how I prioritize my health and fitness is within that weekly plan. And I feel really good about it. Like I feel that way I can balance my personal problems, and it's a me thing. Like I know, like it's the source of argument to have in my relationship, which is there's a plan, and then someone changes the plan. It pisses me off. I don't do well, and I'm getting worse to get older. So it's a management tool for my personality trait as well. But I think it's pretty effective. I think most people would benefit from thinking those things through.
Yeah.
And then
plan your week, plan your day.
Well, and you can enjoy a normal life without coming across like a right old weirdo. Like the fact is, if friends say, "Hey, let's go grab some pizza on a Friday," cool, let's go, do it. Because I just build it into that plan for the week. Now, I wouldn't go out 5 nights in a row, have 5 takeouts in a row. But if the plan is to grab takeout on a Friday or a Saturday, the Rugby World Cup's about to start, I can get my consumption of alcohol is about to increase dramatically in the next few weeks because I'm going to go to a load of rugby games with friends and watch them in the pubs and stuff. But when I have a weekly plan, that's absolutely fine because I will just build it in. So it's for me that's where I've kind of got to with it. And I'm not saying it's the best; it's just it works for me and it keeps me kind of under control.
Yeah, I do the same. I'm even looking at it now. I can't share it because it's not in a browser, but I know what Monday to Sunday generally is going to look like. When I'm in London doing steps, how I'm going to fit my 3 weights full body in with the spaces. But then also actually what I've started to do is every single day I jot down what I do because it will never look exactly like that because life just gets in the way and things move around and stuff. But as I start building the week, I know on Monday I did 60 minutes of zone 2 and 13k steps. I know yesterday I did a full body workout and I think it was like 14k steps. And so you start to build the picture, and then you can start to kind of like change things around later on in the week to know that you can get close to what your week plan was as well. So yeah, it's just about being organized around it. Like, again, if you don't have a sense of what you're trying to hit over the week, and then if you don't have a plan for the day, then you just leave too much to chance.
Write it down, plan it out. Good advice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, look, I think there's some pretty useful stuff there. I guess we'll see how things go over the next few weeks. Hopefully, Lewis, doesn't sound you need it. You're just robotic. You're just going to smash every day, no matter what. Like you're
every day.
David Goggins' mentor behind the scenes. Be interesting to see if me and Rich can get back on track.
Sounds like you guys very much are. It's good.
2 days.
The funny thing is, I love the fact that our definition of off track to me, if you told me 3 years ago my lifestyle at the moment is off track, I would be calling myself silly names. But that's what happens.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the expectations, mate. All right, cool. Well, have a good rest of your day.
You guys too. Speak to you guys later.
See you guys.
Cheers, chaps. I want those playlists, by the way.